To be named in part 2 of my Senate statement in the Made with the Kind Help of Credits, please donate $5 or more using the link in the description. Please also like and subscribe to this channel. Full biography coming soon.
Good morning, distinguished members of the subcommittee. My name is Michaelfranzese, and I have been subpoenaed here today to address the subcommittee regarding my personal experiences with Russian organized crime in the United States. In order to understand the extent of that criminal activity, the subcommittee needs to be aware of my own background and former involvement in organized crime. I was born in Brooklyn, New York. My father is John Sonny Franzese, former underboss of the Colombo crime family, one of New York's 5 La Cosa Nostra families. In 1975, I became a made member of the Colombofamily in a formal induction ceremony presided over by then-family boss, Thomas DeBella. I acted in the capacity of soldier from 1975 through 1980, when I was appointed a Kaporjim and given a crew of soldiers to preside over. During the years I was a member, I engaged in criminal activity on my own behalf, as well as that of the Colombo family. Such criminal activity included tax fraud, loan sharking, gambling, securities fraud, labor racketeering, and extortion. In 1985, I was indicted in the Eastern District of New York for various racketeering charges. In 1986, as part of a plea agreement with the Organized Crime Strike Force of the Department of Justice, I pled guilty to 2 counts of the 28-count indictment relating to tax fraud. I accepted a 10-year prison sentence and $15 million in fines and restitution. In or about 1987, while in federal prison in California, I decided to sever my 12-year relationship with the Colombo crime family and organized crime in general. As I address the subcommittee here today, I am no longer a member of organized crime. In early 1980, while I was a Colombo family soldier, Lawrence Lorizzo, a major independent gasoline wholesaler based in Long Island, New York, came to me for protection. Lorizzo and Russian organized crime figures, working independently of one another, each figured out how to orchestrate one of the most lucrative government rip-offs of all time, stealing gas tax money. As you have been told by previous witnesses, this was a complex scam that, over the years, has netted Italian and Russian organized crime hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars, and the Russians pioneered and perfected these schemes to where, I understand, it is still going on today, despite changes in the law. I first got involved because some mob figures were trying to shake down Lorizzo. Lorizzo owned or operated some 300 independent gas stations throughout Long Island. At that time, it was a cash-heavy operation. I resolved Lorizzo's problem by sending some of my guys over to let these other mob figures know Lorizzo was with me. That ended Lorizzo's problem. In return, I became his partner in the wholesale gasoline business. Later in 1980, I began working with Russians in the gas tax business. One of my soldiers, a guy named Vinny, had been approached by the Russians to help collect a $70,000 debt. Vinny's job was to say, "Pay the money, or I'll break your legs," and to sound convincing, which he was. My guy came to me with the Russians' offer to see if I was interested. I was, and so I arranged a meeting with the leaders of this Russian organized crime group, Michael Markowitz, David Bogatin, and Lev Persits. These guys owned and operated a wholesale gasoline company in Brooklyn, New York. These Russians were having problems collecting money owed them. They were also having problems in getting and holding on to the licenses they needed to keep the gas tax scam going. I could help them on both counts. First, the Colombo family's reputation was very effective in causing people to pay their debts. Also, our family had a guy at the Commissioner of Revenue's office at the State House in Albany who could get the necessary licenses. The Russians were eager to align themselves with someone who could resolve both problems. Because of my association with organized crime, they believed me to be that person. As it turned out, I was. We arranged to sit down on a Saturday morning, in the fall of 1980, at a mobile station they owned in Brooklyn. The 3 Russians told me how they were stealing tax money due the government on the sale of gasoline and how they often ran into problems collecting some of the illegal proceeds from their customers. We cut a deal whereby they agreed to become part of my organization. I would provide them with protection from the other mob families and the muscle to collect all the money due them. Through the services of Lawrence Lorizzo and our gasoline operation, they would have access to the wholesale licenses they needed to defraud the state, county, and federal government out of tax revenue. We agreed to share the illegal proceeds, 75% my end, 25% their end. The deal was put on record with all 5 crime families, and I took care of the Colombo family's share of the illegal proceeds out of my end.